Isn't he beautiful? I just got this. For a week that had a lot of weird complications and mess and complications, it was kind of a cathartic thing that, like, right before I leave for the weekend, I just happened to, like, randomly finish this grind for the Netherwing Drake. I'm like, oh, he's back. I missed him. And he's a really good design. Like, this might be my favorite dragon design in a thing. Like, in general, this cool, like, shark dragon. He's got, like, a sleekness to him and a lot of, like, really choice little details, but he's not, like, over-designed. Like, World of Warcraft is full of so many mounts that I don't like looking at because they look like a Final Fantasy boss. Like, it's so overhyped. And it's like, there's something sleek and nice about this design in general. I also do enjoy that it's an entire species that's mostly purple-ish, which is nice. But he's also like a shark with like some mineral spikes on him and so on. It's just kind of like, it's kind of neat. And yeah, for the pedantics, I tweeted out this earlier today about the fact that, like, people who go on too much about, like, it's a dragon, it's a wyvern, it's a drake, it's a worm, it's a so on, those people need to give up. They just need to give up. Like, Monster Hunter calls everything a wyvern, even if it has no wyvern-like traits. Even though, yes, so, as someone pointed out, they do kind of do the wyvern versus dragon split correctly, but they misuse the word wyvern constantly and call, like, a lizard with no dragon-like traits a wyvern, for example. I think they call a unicorn a wyvern. It's like, alright. But then on more popular properties, like Witcher was setting records for being like the biggest streaming thing besides like The Mandalorian, I guess. And when it got to the time to use Villain Trettenmirth, the gold dragon from the first book, if I remember correctly, he had wings on his front arms, meaning he had 2 back legs, and then he had wing arms in the front. In other words, he was a wyvern, even though he was a gold dragon. Even though they call him a gold dragon, and he's explicitly a gold dragon, in the show he was a wyvern that was called a gold dragon. But even more importantly, one of the most popular shows ever made, Game of Thrones, the dragons at the core of the entire story were all wyverns. They all had wing arms. Like, just... It's just not... guys, it's just not important. Stop correcting people. You've lost. You've lost the war if you're going to be pedantic, and because I'm at the core of this because I play games. I play fantasy games, and I play my Monster Hunters, and I play my other stuff, and like dragons show up, and dragon-like creatures show up, and people always correct me if I use the wrong term ever. Even if I used it correctly for 10 times, but then randomly say the wrong one once, they'll still correct me, and it's like, dude, they're not real. Not only they're not real, but all the most popular modern things that show dragon creatures in them are pretty much all wrong, according to that rubric. And so you just have to, like, accept that you've lost the war at some point. Like, just get over it. And, like, this thing's called a purple netherwing drake. Drake. It has wings. Not only does it have wings, it has wings that are separate from its legs, so that makes it a dragon. And drakes don't have wings at all, as far as I remember. They're like dragon-like creatures with no wings, which makes them essentially dinosaurs, I guess, but whatever. But yeah, this is called a drake. And as far as I'm aware, the word dragon describes all of those things. Like, just so we're clear, I'm pretty sure there's a terminology hierarchy where if you say the word dragon, that includes wyverns and drakes and worms and so on, while also being true for the one thing. Kind of like how there's, like, the New York area, and then the part that's actually the city of New York, or, like, the state of Hawaii versus the island of Hawaii, and so on. And so actually, I think actually, I don't think the big island's called Hawaii. Anyway, you know what I mean. Like, sometimes the thing on the... Sometimes the bigger thing contains other things, and so on. Like, there's, like, a true dragon, but I think a wyvern is still... included in the dragon family. If you call it a dragon, it's a dragon. And no one's gonna fucking use the word dragonkin, so stop trying. No one's gonna say dragonkin, that's absurd. Anyway, this is an impromptu rant about this because, I don't know. This happened this morning. I just popped on for a moment because I was so close to finishing the meter, and I was like, yeah, cool. My rogue's got this guy back. Because I used to play WoW a lot. When I was, It's around the end of Vanilla and the beginning of Burning Crusade. And then I raided all through Burning Crusade, and I beat Illidan and the Black Temple and all that, and then I stopped playing WoW. It was just taking up too much of my life, and I wanted to quit, so I got rid of my account and gave it away. And so I haven't had it since then. Nowadays, I only play it in my free time, like Overwatch and so on, so it's like I'm not a raider. I haven't even really been up to modern content for years, even though I've been back in WoW for years, but once I was playing on a Marty server and I got to Burning Crusade, I was like, you know what? I want to do the Netherwing reputation again. And yeah, when I say this is my favorite dragon design, maybe it's some level of like nostalgia from the fact that like I already went and did the multiple week or grind, which might have taken months back then actually, and got it. So I felt like I earned it. So it was like this big reward, but it's also because it's a cool design, I think. But either way, that was like 2008. Like, I guess that was 12 years ago. And since I'm playing WoW again, and I got to the level finally, I finally have like an 80+ character. I'm like, I want my mount again. Because I keep having the shitty mounts that are the only ones that are available to you, because I don't have any like existing rep or whatever. And like, I just... Yeah. I have to do it like this. Like, by default, you just get this guy, and he's fine, but like, the flight paths are that, so that's disappointing. And then this stuff, the modern mounts are so overdone. Like, he's got too much shit on him. It's so overhyped. It's too much. Like, lumbering around this giant-ass mount is just a lot. And yeah, and he's so huge. I don't know. It's just not the same. I like my Netherwing, and he's back. Anyway... That was a long, boring World of Warcraft-centric rant at this unscripted Wii U video. What I actually started recording for, and this is just going to be the backdrop, is I'm gathering herbs around here in an attempt to do a skill. So I'll just be doing that mindlessly in the background while we talk. I'm going to talk about my recent Wii U-related strife and what went wrong this week and why the schedule... was at like half capacity for is at half capacity for like the better part of a week and so on, and it's the Wii U's fault and my fault, but also with the Wii U's fault. I can't, like, I'm aware of I'll just preface this, like, I'm aware of the fact that this is a story that features me being dumb in certain ways, but also features Nintendo being dumb in a lot of ways, and I think people will relate to this because of the fact that like Nintendo's kind of been really dumb for like the last 10 years. Like we can all appreciate that they make like the games people like, but like from their services to their consoles, like they've made some really just baffling choices. Like more recently there's the weird issue of like how what's it called, in Animal Crossing you're not going to be able to have more than one village per console. You have to buy an entire other Switch if you want to have another village, even though the Switch supports having multiple like accounts and so on. Like you're just not going to be able to have separate towns if you want to have them. Mario Maker 2 came out with no ability to play with your friends online. Like you could play locally with your friends and you could play online with random people, but you couldn't play online with your friends for some reason. Which is, that's incredible that it had online multiplayer, but not with your friends, only with randoms. Why would you, Nintendo, why are you doing this to us? And then of course their online service launched, and it's like, pay a monthly fee in order to get access to Nintendo's online service so you can play games online, like with the other consoles. And it's like, okay, fine, we're used to this. By the way, there's no voice chat. If you want voice chat, you need to use a phone app and connect your headset to your phone while running the phone app, and that's the voice chat, because the Switch can't support the voice chat. Nintendo, are you okay? Like, is this what happens when you sell consoles at a profit? Is this the corners that have to get cut? Because I remember in high school hearing about these elements of like how like the devious element about how big Sony and Microsoft are as companies and how the gaming is just one part of their company is that they can sell every console at a loss and try to make up the cost in like microtransactions and software sales and the monthly fees for online multiplayer and stuff like that. Like they like lose money every time they sell an Xbox or a PlayStation. They sell it at less than it costs. And that's like huh, that's interesting learning weird things about how capitalism works, I guess. But like Nintendo specifically sells their consoles at a profit, which is probably why all of their consoles are kind of underpowered. But it also makes a lot of sense because Nintendo has to be entirely profitable just from one thing. Like they are just a video game company mostly, except they kind of sell toys now too. And like they did start as like a toy and game company and other stuff like that, and went on to become a video game company over time, and so on and so forth. But yeah, the takeaway is that these days they're primarily a video game console company. So like when they make a Wii or a Wii U or a GameCube, the goal is to turn a profit every time they sell a console and every time they sell a game, because of the fact that they'll go under otherwise. And this could be outdated information, but my understanding is that some of their, like, they kind of have a back and forth where every other console kind of fails and every other console is kind of wildly successful. Like the GameCube was a mess, but the Wii did great, and the Switch is doing great, but the Wii U struggled, and so on. But I guess like their highs, like the Wii, are so high, and of course the 3DS, obviously. The DS and the 3DS, their highs are so high that they can just eat the fails, essentially. And so, like, it's kind of the life cycle they have, is like they have good consoles and bad consoles, but their good consoles do so well and turn such a profit that they can keep the company afloat. And that's good. I'm not bemoaning any of that stuff. But the user end experience has been fucking bizarre, is what I would say. And so let's get to what my life experience was this time around as a person who just was wildly unprepared for the number of complications their life was about to have related to video games. And I know how silly this entire subject is. But anyway, the Patreon poll was happening because people choose what game I play in that one time slot, and it was like neck and neck for a while between Metroid Prime and Dead Space. So I went to bed wondering which one it was going to be in the morning, because like then when I woke up in the morning I was going to have to record whichever game won, and then it would go up the next day as an edited video. That's how the schedule was planned. And then I wake up in the morning and Metroid Prime's in the lead. I'm like, all right, it's decided, we got this, here we go, let's go play Metroid Prime. I figured this would be an incredibly easy thing to do, because Metroid Prime, like many games that are popular enough to win the Patreon poll, is available in modern faculties. That's kind of the convenient thing about Patreon, is I very rarely have any kind of complications from what wins, because on it, if it's either like a AAA game that's from like a year ago that I never quite got to, and it has just enough like following that it was worth going back to. Like that stuff's always neat. Like it's like God of War, for example. Like it's a game that people liked enough for a whole year that it still had buzz to win the Patreon poll a year later, which means it was actually worth going back to, as opposed to like Spider-Man and other AAA games that everyone's like, when are you gonna play it? When are you gonna play it? And then like a month later, you completely stop hearing about it. It's like, I guess I didn't need to play it then. It was just a marketing push, and it was quickly forgotten the moment the next marketing push came out. But God of War maintained that buzz for a whole year, and deservingly won, and we had a nice little time with that. I really hope these are the right herbs. I don't know. It's not working. I need Dream Foil and Grom's Blood. I looked on the wiki and it said it was going to be here. I'm trying to mill stuff to fuck it. It doesn't matter. It's just something to do in the background. I'll do the right thing later. Well, I mean, I don't really have time to play beyond this video anyway. Anyway, yeah, the wiki said that fucking Dreamfoil was here. It said it was on Ashara. I don't know what I did wrong. But generally speaking, anything that wins is either an indie game that's available on Steam, like a recent indie game, or it's a AAA game, or it's like a classic game. But like, anything that has that kind of classic game buzz is either something that's been ported to Steam, or it's something like this where an HD remake comes out at some point and is available digitally. It's pretty consistent. Like, if there's enough demand for it to win Patreon, there's a decent chance it had enough demand to be redistributed in the time since it was originally put out and now. So far, it's been a really complication-free process until now. But I thought it was going to be a complication-free process because it's like, okay, cool. I went on the Wii U store, and it's just right there. Metroid Prime Trilogy, $19.99. I mean, that's the price, not the year, obviously. It's a $20 download. You got it. Cool. So that's all I have to do, right? I just pop on my Wii U, and I download it, and we're good. But first, I got to take a trip to Best Buy, or anywhere else, really. Because here's my first complication, but it's one I've been used to for a while about the Wii U, but it's gonna continue to pile up over the course of this discussion until it's just a irritating number of things that are in my way. The first complication I have with the Wii U is I cannot use my credit card or debit card with it. It just won't accept them. I don't know why. I've never known why, but this has been a thing ever since I got the Wii U. It's never been a problem for any other video game console or online service. I use one of my cards for Battle.net. I use one of them for Steam and for Epic, and for my PS4 and my Xbox One and my Switch even, which is you would think was the same platform as the Wii U, but for some reason I can't use any of my cards with the Wii U, and I don't know why. The vaguest guess that I have is maybe that there's too many zip codes assigned to elements of my bank account, so maybe like it won't accept any of the zip codes, or it can't tell which one's the primary zip code, so it just doesn't like authenticate the information. I have no idea. I use these cards everywhere else and it's fine, but I cannot make digital purchases with a card on the Wii U, and it's just completely baffling. But whatever, it's fine. Whenever something like Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time wins, I just go to a store and I buy one of those little $20 cards, and that's it. We're good. And they have the same card that works for the 3DS and the Wii U and the Switch, so I don't even have to worry about like, is it the right one? So like they did that part right at least, so we're good. So I just go to the store, I get a $20 card. This is an annoying thing, but it's the part that I'm used to, so it's fine. And hey, it's a $20 card, the game's $20, this is perfect, basically. So I go to the store, I pick up the card, I drive home, I redeem the card, I purchase Metroid Prime, and I try to download it, and it's like, you can't do that. You don't have space. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, that happens on my PS4 or whatever too. Like, okay, sure. So I go into my storage and I'm like, I don't know, what has the biggest numbers? I'll just delete those things. So I got rid of like Hyrule Warriors and some other stuff that had like the biggest numbers that was left over on my hard drive. I wasn't really paying the closest attention, but it was like stuff that I haven't touched in years. I only realized afterwards that I'm probably deleting their save data, because I don't think any of these games were installed on my Wii U. So I think I was deleting my saves, but I don't really care that much about the save, my save for Hyrule Warriors necessarily, for example. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. I don't think I'm going back to it necessarily. I already did a series on it, and if I really wanted to grind, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal for me to just beat the game again, for example. But yeah, I was just deleting some bulky saves on my Wii U, which you might realize is just a mistake in general, but like, I didn't think about it that much and was just thinking, just delete the biggest numbers out of habit. And then I realized, like, this is not helping. This is not actually going to solve my problem. So I go to download it again, and this time I pay closer attention because it says that I can't do it still. And I'm like, what? I mean, how much do I need to delete? And so this is the part where this is probably the part where I'm the dumbest in this story. But I was just kind of operating on autopilot of what you do when you can't download something on your console, based on my experiences of having like a Switch and a PS4. In the PS4's case in particular, I know for a fact that my saves are safe. So like I can really just haphazardly just delete all these random things that are installed on my PS4. Like so like whenever I'm out of space, I'll just delete some random games that I haven't played for a while, and there's no consequences besides the time lost of having to download them again later if I want to, because like your saves are not the same thing as your installation, so you're fine on the PS4. I can delete Neo and re-download it later if it's in the way, or Witcher 3 or Final Fantasy 15, which are just all big downloads if I need to make space for Iceborne or whatever. But on the Switch, on the Wii U, I'm pretty sure I'm just deleting my saves, which is a whole other thing. But I tried to clear space and it still couldn't download Metroid Prime Trilogy, and I'm like, okay, am I in trouble here? What's going on? And I look at it and I realize, oh, Metroid Prime Trilogy is like 7.7 gigabytes. It's a chunky ass download. Not by modern standards, but like by Wii U standards, because I rewind in my brain back to the Wii U launch and I realize, oh, I haven't, right, I forgot about this part about the Wii U that's so shitty. My Wii U has 8 gigabytes of storage total. And I remember being baffled by this once upon a time. But yeah, like when I got my Wii U, I just went into a store on launch day and just picked up the one that was available, and that was the 8 gigabyte one. The other model's not much better. I think it was only like 32. Like the Wii U had an embarrassingly small hard drive that was like blatantly a bad thing even then. And like it's like this console was built with the assumption that you're either only going to buy digital copies of I mean, you're only going to buy physical copies of games, or you're going to expand the hard drive space because it has an unusable sized hard drive, especially this one. Because you know, if you have an 8 gigabyte hard drive, you're not getting 8 gigs. There's all that extra space that's used up by like the operating system or like the formatting or whatever the hell that they use. Like you never get the full hard drive space that they say you're gonna get. You always lose like seeming like 20% or something on consoles. So you're not getting, you never had 8 gigs. I could delete 100% of all the stuff on my entire hard drive and I'd never be able to download Metroid Prime Trilogy with this version of the Wii U, period. Which is, it seems like a bit of an oversight that they launched a console with a hard drive size so small that you can't even download last gen games on it. Not even games, game. Singular download game. Technically it's a trilogy, but it's one download purchase file thing. So this is already like a major flaw of the Wii U that's distressing, but I'm like, okay, it's fine. I've been here before. Like I recently expanded the storage space of both my Switch and my phone, and they did it both the same way. I just went to a store and I bought an SD card. Although I think in both those cases they're micro SDs or whatever, but like I massively expanded the amount of space on my Switch so that I can just stop capping out ever. Basically, and like my phone was always full on podcasts and shit, so I'm like, all right, yeah, this is doable. I look at my Switch and I'm like, okay, there's literally an SD card slot right there in the front. And I'm sorry, not my Switch, my Wii U, which is where I'm trying to download Metroid Prime Trilogy. So this is an easy fix, right? Right there on the front of the Wii U, there's an SD card slot, easily fixed. So, but I'm a smart boy. So first I go on the internet and I'm like, hey Nintendo, what is this maximum size and for an SD card on the Switch, and what is the recommended format? It's like, okay, you need SDHC. I think that's the right acronym. The 4-digit acronym that starts with SD, at least. I'll probably get acronyms wrong in this video in general. Just it's part of life. You gotta get the SDHC card, and it has to have, and you can. It caps at 32 gigabytes. It's like, all right, so it literally caps at the size of the original hard drive space. For the Super Switch, you had to pay like an extra $100 for or whatever. That's not great, but it's fine. It'll fix my problem. And more importantly, a 32 gigabyte SDHC card is only like $13. So it's like this is fine. I'll just go pick one of these up, and not only will it let me download Metroid Prime Trilogy, it'll like slightly future-proof my Wii U, so I can get a few other games in before I run into another problem again. You know, future-proofing the dead console that I might never use again. But yeah, future-proof it, sure. So I just go to GameStop again, or I'm sorry, Best Buy. I go to Best Buy again. I just buy an SDHC card. I pop it. I drive home. I pop it in my Wii U, and then I pop it in my Wii U, and then I go back to the store in the console and try to download Metroid Prime Trilogy again. And it's just once again like, you don't have space. I'm like, what do you mean I don't have space? I just put in a 32 gigabyte card. And I even checked online. It's like, it's the right card for the Switch. I mean, for the Wii U. I'm so sorry. Just so used to saying Switch now. I bought the right card for the Wii U, and it's 32 gigabytes, and this is an 8 gig game. We're good, right? Just plop that shit in there. So I'm confused why it's not working. And like, I look at my storage options or whatever, and I can verify like, oh yeah, see, there it is. When I look at my storage, I can see that there's the SDHC card right there. It's there. The Switch knows it's there. Why can't I download the game? Fun fact, the Wii U cannot download games to an SD card. It can only put saves on your SD card and screenshots and like amiibo data or whatever the fuck. Like basically everything except for game data. The number one thing you would want to use your hard drive space for on a console. Yeah, I can't do that. The part where you put games on it. The number one reason you would be trying to expand your storage space is not doable. Great, thanks Nintendo. And I found this by trying to troubleshoot this and search this, and yeah, and you find Reddit threads eventually saying like, yeah, you can't use SD cards for actual game data. And I'm like, the fuck? And it's like, and you might be thinking like, but didn't you look at the Nintendo official site? It's like, yeah, but I guess I found the FAQ that's talking about what the right SD card is, and that FAQ just assumes you already know that you can't store game data. There's no disclaimer on that page saying you can't use an SD card to download game data. So they're just assuming you already know via maybe a different FAQ page that SD cards only work for not game data, and you're just already specifically looking for the right card for your shitty. I want to like it's not completely pointless. Like I guess you can transfer saves from console to console that way, like an old memory card. So like sure, but it's incredibly frustrating to not be able to do that for game data. And you can see why I'd make the mistake, because I have a Switch, which is, and like I specifically use an SD card to expand its storage space. So like I've already done this exact thing. So I complain about this in my little YouTuber collaborator Discord where like Andrew and Effie and everyone are, and Effie is like, wait, what? Because at least according, I haven't verified this, but according to Effie, the Wii supported downloading games on the SD card. So apparently you can download games on the Wii and the Switch to your SD card, but not on the Wii U. They just dropped the feature for a console and then brought it back the next console. Why would you do that? I have no idea. It kind of reinforces the ongoing thing about this. My thesis for this video essentially is that like, maybe the Wii U deserved to die. Maybe this console was always doomed and kind of shittily put together, and maybe this is just another element of that. But if you're not there yet, if you don't support that message, that maybe the Wii U just deserved to just fucking burn, don't worry, I've got more, because it just gets worse. It just gets worse. So it's like, okay, you have to use an external hard drive in order to expand the hard drive space on the Wii U. Because I already checked, and yes, you can technically use a flash drive, like a thumb drive, but apparently thumb drives tend to delete your saves. Like there's tons of threads on Reddit and other places saying that like there's stability problems if you use a thumb drive where you just lose your shit. And like, I do not want to go like 10 hours deep into Metroid Prime and then just lose my save. That would be just horrible. So yeah, I'm not gonna use a thumb drive. I'm gonna get an external hard drive. It's definitely gonna be more expensive, but whatever. Like, it's my job. I can just buy hardware for these things and it'll come in handy in the future, hopefully. But it's like, that's just the kind of cost that you bite when you're doing this kind of stuff, and it's just normal. So I'm like, okay, I don't even question it. We're just gonna go and get a hard drive. So once again, I'm like, okay, like, is there like a size cap? Is there other stuff? Blah blah blah. And I just so I go to I go to Best Buy for the third time. The third time in the same day. Getting some looks at this point. I go over to the computer area and I try to buy an external hard drive, and they're all locked up in the case and everything. And I pick one up that's like 500 gigs, and it's like, okay, we're good. Like, we should be fine. Like, when I was looking at like the recommended things or whatever, there was recommendations that were like a terabyte. So clearly the Wii U can handle a bunch of external storage. So I seemed like I'd be well within the threshold. But it's like I didn't go for the exact models that were listed on the Wii U page because like I gotta get it today. The goal is to, like, I'm still thinking in the headspace like I gotta get this today. I'm trying to get this game running today so I can record it today so I can get the video up tomorrow. Like, that's the timetable we're dealing with. So like I'm not ordering stuff online. I'm local solutions only. And of course, you have a bit of an issue here where it's like, I wasn't even going to bother to try to match the products because the Wii U is an old console at this point. So like, whatever they have listed as being like, here's some stuff that we say works on our console or whatever, are going to be a bunch of hard drives that don't even exist anymore, because like they basically cease existing 2 years after they're made, usually, because they get replaced by their models anyway. So I went to the store and I bought an external hard drive. It seems like this should be a completely easy solution. Like, I remember back in the old days when I would expand my hard drive space for my 360, for example, I would just grab whatever thumb drive and the SD cards. I just grab whatever SD card. Like, normally you just kind of get whatever. This isn't really the first time I've ever bought an external hard drive for a console because, I don't know, all the consoles I've ever had have had competent levels of hard drive space to begin with, basically. And it's never been reasonable to have to deal with this kind of shit in the past. Like, but here we are. Can't even see that. There it is. So I take the hard drive back home. I plug it into the Switch, the Wii U, sorry, and nothing. It's not. No, it does show up. It does show up. So I can see that it's there. And I can see that I can try to format it. But the first time I try to format it, it just keeps spinning forever. Like it's in a progress bar that I'm stuck in eternally. And it's not going anywhere. I'm like, alright, well that's not great news. So I do the next smart thing. I was like, okay, we'll restart the Wii U. I'll power it down and power it back on. It gets a chance to like reinitiate with the hard drive plugged in. Maybe that'll fix the problem. And we do make a little progress. So this time when I press the, like, I would like to format this hard drive, please, for the Wii U, instead of just ignoring me or being stuck or whatever, this time it gives me an error message that's like, error code blah 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 blah, like 105 dash blah 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 blah. Try again later. I'm like, excuse me? That's a message that you're supposed to tell me when like the store isn't working right now. How do I try again? What's the point of try again later when it's a piece of hardware that I'm using right now? Like, it's not an online service. It's not like you have like intermittent service problems right now. It's the hard drive. Like, it's the conditions aren't going to change in an hour. So I'm like, why is it saying try again later? Whatever. So I try Google searching the error code. I'm trying to be smart here. I'm trying to be proactive about solving my problems here. So I put the error code in, and I type like error code Wii U and then the error code. And that's like inconclusive result. So I put quotes around the error code, the number dash number error code, to make it very specific. And now one result shows up on the entire internet. Oh wait, no, that's for later. But no, the results that come up for this one give me a bit more information. Apparently, on a console that can only be expanded. Jesus Christ. Apparently, the USB ports on the Wii U aren't strong. They don't put up enough power. They don't put out enough power to power a hard drive. So you need to get an externally powered hard drive or you need to have a special connector. And so I checked with the GameStop people, and they're like, I mean, the Best Buy, I can't stop saying GameStop for some reason, just like I can't stop saying Switch. The Best Buy people say that they don't sell externally powered hard drives. And I'm like, really? I'm kind of pressing the doubt button a little bit in my head, but like I'm kind of remembering when I worked at GameStop, and like, god damn it, I kind of remember when I worked at Best Buy, and like they don't train you at all. So like I get it. He might just be making shit up, but I don't. So they don't seem to have externally powered hard drives. So the alternative is to get a Y connector. And this is I found several threads all talking about using a Y connector. So like this is a reoccurring thing, and people just take this for gospel. You need a Y connector in order to use an external hard drive on the Wii U, because even though it's a console that you can only expand the hard drive space for with an external hard drive, it can't natively accept an external hard drive because its ports are so shitty that it can't power it. Great. What a great console, Nintendo. Its hard drive space is so small you can't download one game, and its ports that are required in order to give it an external hard drive can't accept an external hard drive. Motherfucker. This is just a mess. So now I'm trying to search for a Y connector for a hard drive, which is like, every time I find a product listing for it, because I found it pretty quickly on Amazon, but its name is so vague and shitty that it's like, it doesn't have it's not like HDMI, where like you're like, here's the exact name. I can very consistently know what to call this, so I can search it on several different storefronts to find it consistently. Like the Y connector's name is just noise. The best you can come up with is that it probably has USB in it, and it probably has Y in it somewhere, and then it's usually like a paragraph of jargon search terms trying to make the SEO show up so people can find it. So I tried looking it up on Radio Shack's website and GameStop's website and Best Buy's website, and I literally couldn't find a single result of it existing at all. And like I couldn't tell if it was because they don't stock it, because it's like a weird specialist piece of equipment, or if it's because I couldn't find the right search terms that they're looking for on their website for it to come up. Because I find that every store has a shittier search bar than basically Amazon. Like Amazon, you can find stuff there, but almost any other store, like Best Buy, you're kind of fucked. Like you'll get like the wrong category of stuff entirely. Like I find whenever I try to look something up at Best Buy's website, it'll basically bring up like a TV, and I'm like, that's not even close. What the fuck, Best Buy? And then you're trying to sit there like finagle with the tags and filters to try to filter it down to what you're going for, but like I don't even know what category to even filter down to for such a weird piece, but whatever. But I wasn't able to find it on those websites, and the reason I was trying to find it on those websites is because if they had it, I could just go get it now instead of like ordering it, because like I found it on Amazon, but Amazon's going to be tomorrow. But ultimately I couldn't find it on any other website, so I just gave up. And I'm like, all right, that's when I put the first message out to you guys. I'm like, sorry, Patreon's going to be unavailable. It'll be another day or so because I need to wait for a part to come in. It was because I was ordering a Y connector from Amazon, with the goal being to then, you know, use that to power the hard drive, and now I can finally download Metroid Prime, which I've already purchased at this point, so I'd really like to download the game I've already purchased for the console that I own. Like, I've never had so much trouble buying and downloading a console game in the last, like, 15 years. Like, we've had this shit figured out since the 360, and it's been pretty smooth for a long time, and I've never had a single issue. But here we are, because Nintendo. That's fine. I'm like, okay, it's written off. But of course, like, I'm doing all this troubleshooting and all this back and forth driving and all this like research and stuff trying to figure out what's going wrong. So like, I'm not really getting much recording done this day, and that's why the schedule's been a mess. It's not just a matter of like, oh, I gotta wait a day so the Patreon's delayed. It's like, no, my whole day of recording is kind of shot because I had to spend so much time figuring out what's going on, because of all things, the Nintendo console is like PC levels of complicated to use for some reason, even though like, keep this in mind both for what I've said so far and what I'm saying in the future. Like, one of the main things that comes up whenever I criticize any Nintendo game is people like, well, it's for kids, it's a game for kids, and so on. So like that's why it's easy or uncomplicated or condescending or has too many tutorials or blah 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 blah. It's for kids. Everything Nintendo makes is for kids. I'm gonna go ahead and extend that logic to its console, which I think is completely reasonable. So when you think about all these complications and how it's like, oh, you're not alpha nerd enough, you just aren't on my level, and it's like, yeah, I get it. Like I'm seen as like the tech guy among like family members. They're like, oh, my phone isn't working. What do I do? Help me! And I'll like, hey, come on. And then I'll solve the problem in like 30 seconds, even though I don't even use the operating system of phone that they're using, because I just intuit stuff better than people that aren't used to technology and so on. And it's like I'm seen by many people as the person that solves these kinds of problems, and here I am not being alpha nerd enough, because yeah, deep down I am not the person who builds computers. I have a vague idea of what the parts in a computer do, but don't really know that well. And like I took a Cisco class and I started computer programming and then quit it. So like I'm not that guy. I went to physical sciences. I chose not to be a programmer, and I have not immersed myself in I'm not a god of software, but I've especially completely sidestepped learning a ton about hardware in a lot of cases. And a lot of my stuff I work with is stuff that I just get to a point where it works with enough troubleshooting and so on, and then I move on, and I don't continually know things. So when people are talking about like I'm not ready when I'm talking about like, oh yeah, my hard drive's dying, I should probably replace it or something. Like when I was going through my that era of Overwatch videos where like my gun wasn't loading on the screen and weird things were happening, we eventually were able to figure out that like my hard drive was dying, and so I just ordered a new one. But like Andrew and Effie are talking about like, you should get a RAID setup or whatever the fuck, and I'm like, what kind of weird nightmare complications are you trying to add to my life, dudes? Because I don't need this. Like, I just need something that works, and I'm gonna move on with my life. I don't need this weird... I'm not gonna overclock my parallel loaded SLI hard... Like my parallel SLI double graphics cards and my RAID setup for my hard drive. I don't need that. I just need a computer that that can run games and record and stream. Don't do this to me, because if it breaks, I'm gonna be fucked, because you're not here to fix it. And so like, yeah, like I don't know everything to know. I don't know what questions to ask in advance and so on. So like someone will be tempted to be like, haha, you didn't know that, because you're supposed to just like be like alpha nerd enough to know all these dumb esoteric things about computers and stuff. But like I'm gonna bring y'all back down to earth if you're thinking those things. This is a console for children. Also, it's a video game console. In case we forgot what video game consoles were, they're supposed to be pretty fucking straightforward. The whole point of a console is it just works. The whole point of a console is to not be a PC. that's why people use consoles, is so they don't have to like know all this esoteric knowledge about how a PC works on a software and hardware level, and like, do I need to defrag my hard drive and blah 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 blah, and do I need to replace my graphics card, or like is my hard drive dying, like all these other things. Like, no, consoles are supposed to just work, and then when you're done with your console, you just buy the new one and stuff like that. And that goes doubly for children. Like, these are supposed to be consoles where you just like, you get it. Little Timmy wants a Wii U for Christmas, so you get him a Wii U, and then he gets to play his video games, and you just give it to him, and it just works, and you can not have to deal with additional stuff. Which the Wii U already failed out the gate with that, because I remember when I got the Wii U, I lost the entire first day to setting it up. Because I hooked it up and it was like, now I gotta update, and then it just sat there on a progress bar that wasn't moving for about 8 hours, which I think might have been due to like the servers failing on Nintendo's side, or it might have been like the Wii U was really bad at downloading, because the Wii U's always had really slow download times in general, but whatever. Like, that whole like Christmas morning experience of like getting your kid a Wii U was definitely shot for a lot of people, because that thing had like a nightmarish setup period where you couldn't use it until it did like an 8-hour period of mess. So that was already a problem that Nintendo failed at the gate with the Wii U. Just to add to the list, doesn't take my cards, had an 8-hour setup period when I first got it, Now I can't download a game on its hard drive because the game's too big, but I also can't expand it in any reasonable and easy way. I've got to have esoteric knowledge about how to get a Y connector that I specialty order on Amazon in order to power my hard drive and so on, like according to Reddit threads. Yeah, that's great for little Timmy. That'll help him play Super Mario. So yeah, if you're gonna like be like, no, you should have been smarter about the tech or whatever, I'm gonna remind you all, this is the children video game console. I would say all video game consoles should be completely easy to use and not have to require special knowledge. But if any of them definitely shouldn't require special knowledge, it should be the Nintendo one. I think that's a fair assessment. Because guess what? If little Timmy can't do it, I bet little Timmy's parents also can't do it. Because I know my parents couldn't solve these problems either. So that I just would have been fucked if I wanted to play Metroid Prime when I was like 12. If I was in the correct age range for when Metroid Prime came out and I had the 8 gigabyte, if I had the 8 gigabyte Wii U when I was 12 and Metroid Prime was something I wanted, we're saying if I was 12 right now, basically. The specific time window of like Metroid Prime, the disc copy, is inaccessibly, prohibitively expensive and gone because it was a Wii disc-based game and it's now out of print and it goes for over $100 in general. And it's also only available online via resellers because they don't sell it in stores anymore. Then the only way to get Metroid Prime is to buy it for $20 digitally. So a little 12-year-old me is like, I'm gonna buy it for $20 on the official Wii U store, and then be completely roadblocked. I will have lost my money because I already purchased the game, but I'm not gonna be able to play it because it can't fit on my hard drive, and I can't expand my hard drive because it's too confusing and messy and insane. So I just would have been fucked as a kid and would have never been able to play this game. But now I've got money, so fuck that kid. So anyway, I have to wait 24 hours for the Y cable to come in. It comes in the next day. I hook that into the hard drive and the Wii U. So now it's plugging into 2 USB ports. The idea is that it'll draw additional power via the 2 USB ports, and that'll be enough to power the goddamn hard drive. It still doesn't work. I'm like, why isn't it working? Oh wait, I gotta rewind. There's one additional complication I didn't do before. When I said that the hard drive wasn't working at all in the first day, there was one additional step I had to do, which is I realized, oh, maybe it just has to be formatted on a PC first. And I did find out, like, it has to be formatted to FAT instead of the 4-digit N, like not NTSC, that's something else. But like there's one type of formatting, there's several types of formatting for hard drives, and I had to format it to FAT. So I plugged it in my computer, I formatted it to FAT, plugged it back into the Wii U, and that's how I got it to work after the power cycle and everything during the first day. But that still wasn't enough. That was just enough to get to, like, acknowledge it, then give me an error code, which led me to the Y connector thing. So that's the additional step I had to do. But yeah, at this point, now I'm plugging into the Y connector on the second day because the new part has come in, and I'm like, now this would be my grand release, because like the whole point was that I specifically gave up because this was my nuclear option, is to buy a new piece of hardware just to make the thing work 24 hours later. So I'm assuming I'm finally set here. And so I'm not even ready for what's going to come next, which is that it's still not going to work. I plugged the Y connector in, I plugged it into the ports, and it's still not working. It's giving me it's like giving me infinite error messages. It's either loading infinitely or it won't format, and it's just not happening. And then I realized the diagram that shows up for plugging on the screen, that there is a diagram that pops up in one of the many pages that I'm going through, and it brings up, oh, in the example you plug the hard drive into the USB ports on the back of the Wii U. I'm like, oh, right, I guess there are USB ports on the back of the Wii U. I haven't looked at the back of the Wii U forever. It's just been sitting there facing me for years. Because yeah, there's 2 on the front and 2 on the back. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll plug into the ones in the back. And actually that works, except for it doesn't work. But we make it one step further, in that it now, it'll let me try to format it instead of just being stuck forever. But then when I try to format it, oh right, what was the specific? Sorry, there's so many similar steps here that I gotta remember which specific problem that came up. At this stage, it let me format it for the Wii U finally. So my hard drive is currently formatted for the Wii U, which is great news. So I go to the store, and I go and hit download on Metroid Prime again, and it just kind of sits there for a while. And I think the first time it did the infinite thing again, where it just doesn't work and there's no feedback. So I quit out and I try again, and this time it gives me an error code. And it's like, I can't download this game, try again later or whatever. I'm like, again? So I restart the console and I try downloading Metroid Prime again, and it gives me an error code again. I'm like, what the what is it? What? No, we can't still be in trouble here, can we? We can't be. But we are. The nuclear option of a Y-prong thing has not worked. And, so here's the part where I get one result, is I put the error code in quotes, and I search it up, which, by the way, there's an official error code directory, on the Wii U, like, FAQ site, but it skips the error codes that I was getting. Like, it details a bunch of different error codes and what they mean, but the entire, like, I think it was the 105 category, or whatever the first 3 digits are of the error codes I was getting, those error codes are skipped over entirely on that. It just doesn't explain them. So I was able to, I googled Wii U error code, then put the error code itself in quotes to get the exact specific result. And I get one result on the entire internet, and it was like in like Swedish or Dutch or German. I didn't look that closely, so I know I'd be able to recognize if it was German, but I didn't actually look close enough before I just gave up and hit the translate button in the top right corner that was popping up on the on Chrome. And so I was like, okay, cool. What are these people? I'm gonna read some like broken Google translated English and see if I can figure out what these people figured out about this specific error code. They're my only hope on the entire internet is one obscure thread in a different language from years ago. And what they said is that the Wii U cannot handle anything that has a USB 3 cable. And I look at the Y connector I've got, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's got that little blue bit in it, which means it's USB 3. Now I'll preface this by saying, like, I do still think USB 3 or USB, like, it's supposed to be like backwards/forward compatible or whatever you call it, where like it'll operate. I think USB 3 cables are supposed to be able to operate as a USB 2 cable if you plug them into something that's not USB 3 ready. Like, I think that's supposed to not be a complication, but you know, that's for PCs. For all I know, consoles do have a complication or whatever. But anyway, like, this is the only piece of information I have to latch on to at this point, because everything has been failing. So now I go and I just hop on Amazon again, and I'm like, I just try to type like everything. Specifically, I go to my order history, I find the same cable I ordered, and I try to modify the name. I try to re-search that name, but modified to say USB 2.0 instead of 3.0, just to see if there is any kind of USB 2.0 version available anywhere. And I spent a good amount of time looking, and I just could not find a version of this wide cable that was a USB 2.0 cable. Like, I think because of the fact, like, because what I said a moment ago, where I think that a USB 3.0 is supposed to be like backwards/forward compatible or whatever, where it's supposed to not matter that it's 3.0. I think you're supposed to be able to plug it into 2.0 stuff, and it's not supposed to be a problem. Because of that, I think they just stopped making the USB 2.0 version of that kind of cord, and I think it just doesn't exist, or at least I couldn't find a single iteration of it anywhere. So here's where I had to give up, and I'm like, ah, fuck. Like, this entire thing's a dead end. Like, the SD card was a dead end, but like, okay, if it's fine, I can keep an SD card around. Like, I can put it in like a camera or something. Like, I don't necessarily need to return it. I shredded that packaging the moment I got it, because I never even considered the idea of returning an SD card. So I'm not getting those $13 back, but whatever, it's $13. I do still have the box for the hard drive, so I can return the hard drive, thankfully. And I still have the receipt. I don't know if I'm really going to try to bother returning the $7 Y cable that I bought for the hard drive. But but considering the fact that this is a dead end, this means I can't, like, I'm officially giving up on playing the digital copy of Metroid Prime, which I'll remind you, I already purchased. So I'm out $20 for the Metroid Prime copy, and I'm out $20 for the Y cable and SD card combo, because those two are another $20 combined. It's $13 and $7. So that's $40 I've now spent that I can't really get back, but I will be returning the hard drive. So that's like, I don't remember, it's like $30 or $50 that I'll get back from Best Buy. So at least there's that. But like, at this point, it's like, I'm officially at like, fuck it. This collective series of things was all me trying to avoid making the big purchase. So I was punished for trying to find smart solutions for my problem. Because now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to buy Metroid Prime Trilogy, the disc, even though it's massively more expensive than it was when it was new. Because it used to be like a $40 or $60 disc, and I think back to my days at GameStop, but fuck, stop saying GameStop, Best Buy, because that's where I worked. And I'm like, I remember stocking that game. I looked at that game, Metroid Prime Trilogy. This is part of the reason why I knew there was a Wii version of Metroid Prime, because I don't have a GameCube to play the GameCube copy of the game, but I'm guessing buying it on GameCube would have also been way more expensive. So it's probably still best to buy it on a Wii, which I'm playing on Wii U because it's backwards compatible. Because I also don't have a Wii, I only have a Wii U. So I'm like, okay, I remember stocking the Wii copy of Metroid Prime Trilogy when I was at Best Buy. Like I used to look at that like on a daily basis. So I knew it existed. And I'm like, if only once upon a time I had purchased that for $20 or $40 or $60, whatever it was, I could have avoided this entire thing years later. But alas, that was like 10 years ago that I worked there. So like, how would I know? I could have never known. But anyway, now it's my mission to go find a copy of the Metroid Prime Trilogy. And I know I can get it online, but it's like $100. Who wants to spend $100 on that? And also, if I buy it online, it's going to be another 24 hours. So like, I'm still holding on to the hope that having missed one day on the Patreon slot, I can still do it on the second day. It's like, oh yeah, we only missed one day. We're good. I can do this. Here's my solution. I'm going to go to various secondhand shops around like the Modesto area and neighboring towns. And so that's my goal. I just go out and I'm going to try to find Metroid Prime Trilogy at a secondhand store where it probably won't cost as cartoonishly as much as it does on online. And so I set out to do that. I try the local one here in Modesto, then I try the next town over, and so on. And each time I go to one of these places, they're just like, yeah, we'll totally have Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Wii. And they look around, and they just keep looking, and they don't have it. And they have several copies of Metroid Other M, but no copies of Metroid Prime Trilogy. And they all have the same surprised reaction when they don't have it, because they were like, no, I really thought I had that, and they just don't have it. It was like a weird repetition. I found a few little weird gems while I was there, though. I got, for the Nintendo 64, I got Armorines, and I got Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and then for the PlayStation 1, I found Populous for $5 in like a weird discount bin. I'm like, I've heard of that. I'm kind of curious about just having a copy of Populous. And I had some, it's always kind of a fun, if weirdly gross experience to go through like the secondhand bins at these places. One of the places I went to was it just had giant stacks of PlayStation 1 games in a discount bin where all of them are $5, and they didn't have cases. It was just a stack of CDs, and if you found something you wanted, you could just have it for $5. And like, that's where I found Populous. It did have a case. Some of them had cases, some of them were sleeves, and some of them were just stacks of naked discs. Like, I found Metal Gear Solid in there. I'm like, whoa, Metal Gear Solid, why is it in the $5 bin? What a fucking find. I think I already have Metal Gear Solid, though, for the PS1 back. I gotta check my closet, where I stash my finds from these little trips. But I realized that the catch, it was Metal Gear Solid 1 disc 2 for $5. So you had to fucking construct the set like it was Exodia. Otherwise you couldn't have it all. So it's like, oh, okay, I gotcha. That's Metro. Yeah, that's why it's $5. Because it's a disc, it's a random piece of that. But yeah, you have to go to a secondhand game store. You can't go to a thrift store, because thrift stores only ever have like defunct music games, a bunch of shitty sports games, and weirdly a lot of them sell like discs for WoW expansions, and I'm like, that's not a product, right? Like, that doesn't do anything. There's been a few times I tell the person at the counter, like, that disc isn't worth anything. That's like, I saw like a disc for Burning, like I found Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King for World of Warcraft at thrift stores, and I'm like, they don't sell those. You don't have to buy those anymore, because when you buy World of Warcraft, you only have to buy World of Warcraft for like $20, and that's all of World of Warcraft except the newest expansion. So you have to buy World of Warcraft, and then you have to buy the newest expansion. The moment a new expansion comes out, the previous expansion is no longer for sale on World of Warcraft these days. You used to have to buy Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, because I know that because I worked at Best Buy when Wrath of the Lich King came out, which is when I was quitting. I specifically chose to quit before the expansion came out, before I did the whole loop again. And yeah, like, they were selling World of Warcraft and Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade all on a counter next to each other at a launch event, because you had to buy the main game and the first expansion before you could buy the second expansion. But nowadays, you only buy the newest expansion and the base game, and that's it. So, like, if you see those thrift stores that are selling Lich King and Pandaria and Cataclysm and Burning Crusade, they're just selling a box, which I guess somebody might want for collector's reasons, but that's it. Like, it's not a game. That's not a product you can redeem for any purpose, as far as I can tell. But that's just a whole dead end. But anyway, I check a bunch of these places. None of them have Metroid Prime. So now I finally slink my way back home, and I give my sort of apology message where I'm like, hey guys, yeah, it's gonna be another day before the still mystery Patreon winner comes out, because I had to be cagey and vague, because I was still trying not to like spoil what game it was that was winning. It's still not gonna come out, and it's funny because there was a few comments that are like, oh man, Metroid Prime lost again, because whatever the complication was coming up for must be some game that's harder to play than Metroid Prime, because you would think, yeah, it's like, yeah, Metroid Prime's available for the Wii U, so obviously it can't be Metroid Prime that's causing all these problems. So like a bunch of people had already decided Metroid Prime didn't win, because there's a bunch of hype for it winning. But like, it must have not won, because he would have just casually bought it for $20 and downloaded it, right? So like, this would have not have been a problem. So whatever is causing all these problems must be some older, weirder game, right? Yeah. So yeah, I fucking eat crow, or whatever the term is, and I go on Amazon and I just buy Metroid Prime. I could have bought it on other websites potentially, like it might have been a bit cheaper on, like, if I could get it on eBay or whatever. But like, one, if I bought it on eBay, even if it might have cost a bit less, it probably would have taken like a week or more to deliver, and I might have had to wait for like an auction to finish, or if I even did win the auction, like there would have been a lot of lengthy processes. And I have a channel to run, and it's like, this is just a business expense, it's fine. So I'll pay a little bit more just to get it, because specifically the second-hand seller on Amazon was promising next day delivery, and so like I can get it the next day finally. So while this was a bunch of headache for me, we did only ultimately miss 2 days. Although the effect here was that I spent the better part of 2 days trying to get Metroid Prime to work, so I ended up having to do that thing where all the other playthroughs on the channel are going up every other day this week, because I just didn't really record anything for 2 days, and I'm also gone this weekend, and I was kind of gone last weekend too, so like my entire backlog is just destroyed right now. I might even have to extend the every other day a little longer, we'll see. I don't know, it's just been kind of a mess lately. But it'll get back to normal sooner or later, guys. Sorry. But yeah, I just fucking bit it off. I just fucking ripped off the band-aid. I just accepted it, and I ordered, you asshole, die. I just accepted it and I ordered the game for like $100 online. Got it the next day, popped it right in, and it just worked because it was a disc. And that's the thing, I've never had to deal. I don't think I've properly articulated this before, but the reason I never had to deal with this problem before is that for like the last 10 years or the last 5 years, I guess, I really have converted to buying almost everything digitally. It's just too convenient, and I don't like going to GameStop, and I don't really like ordering stuff by mail or whatever. So like, I have how do I put this? Pretty much my only physical copies are usually for hardware. So like when I got Rock Band 4 when it came out, I needed the new guitar so I could play the game. So I have a physical copy of Rock Band 4 for Xbox One, like the disc, because it comes with the hardware and so on. And similar for Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch. Like I needed the ring to play the game, and that comes with, and like, so you buy that with the disc, or not, I mean the cartridge. So, you know, I have a cartridge for Ring Fit Adventure. But besides that, I pretty much exclusively have digital copies of everything for the longest time, because it's just really convenient, and I don't like going to the store in particular, because I don't really like GameStop and so on in general. So like, I don't really like going there and being offered to like get a fucking membership and then buy a warranty for the video game and all this other nonsense, and waiting in line and having to say no to several offers. Like, I feel like stores underestimate how much it puts people off going to their store when they ask them, where you have to say no to like 3 things every single time you buy stuff. Do you want to join our membership program? Do you want a credit card that's tied to our store? Would you like to get a warranty for this thing? And would you like to donate to charity? And like, you'd say no to like 4 fucking things. Like, what's your phone number? It's like, I just want, just buy the thing. That's why, like, I think this is part of why self-checkout got so popular, is that it's less annoying to just quickly press no to a thing at a register when no other person's involved than it is to keep getting asked a bunch of things and listen to them ask the question, and you already know the question they're going to ask. It's like when Panda Express is like, do you want to donate $1 to charity? And it's like you already know all the questions they're going to ask, and you already have the answers primed, but there's like a certain like social etiquette to like letting them ask it instead of cutting them off rudely with the answer to the question you already know they're going to ask, but you already have the answer primed and so on. Like, I don't like going to Best Buy, and I don't like going to GameStop. Best Buy's way worse. I remember, like, go back to my video of Outer Worlds, where I found the guy with the ball head. That's the depressed retail worker, where I go on my big rants about how hellish it was to work at Best Buy. But like, Best Buy employees are the worst because their company makes them be the worst. Be sure to fill out this survey so that you can be entered to win a $5,000 shopping spree. And all these other things. Or you want to register the buyback program? If you pay us money now, you'll have the right to potentially sell this product back to us, if you so choose, later at a descending price that goes down every month. And it's like, so fucking. Let's pull out a chart about why you should spend money on top of the money you're spending for negligible benefit. Blah blah blah. I know that you'd want to buy this product, but what if I immediately destroy your trust in said product by suggesting all the ways that it might completely cease to function within the next month, which would why you'd want to have buy a warranty with us, even though, like, you know, everything has a manufacturer warranty, so like you already have a warranty through the thing, but we're not going to mention the fact that the product itself already has a manufacturer warranty, because we want you to buy our warranty for even more money on top of the asking price of the product. Yeah, I hate stores at this point, and it's because they hate us. Like, it's their fault. It's not just like lazily not wanting to leave the house, because I'll happily go out for food and road trips and so on. I like leaving the house, but like, stores are the worst. They actively make us not want to go there. But anyway, I completely lost track of how I got there. But anyway, I finally gave up and I bought like the full price secondhand, like $100 shipping thing, which then Oh right, no. The reason I was explaining why why I haven't encountered this problem before, and it was because of the thing I said before. My cards don't work on the Wii U, so it's been a huge hassle to buy anything digitally because I have to like go get a card, like a redeemable gift card, whenever I want to buy a Wii U game. So all of my Wii U games, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Super Smash. No, I don't have a Smash Brothers. I never bought Smash Brothers, but Super Mario 3D World, Hyrule Warriors, all those games are physical discs. So like, because I've bought a physical disc for every Wii U game until now, I've never had to grapple with how much of a mess it is to ever exceed the 8GB hard drive. Which, by the way, I have no games installed besides Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And between those two tiny Nintendo 64 games and some save files, my hard drive space on the Wii U is fucking full. All 8 gigs are just full. And I'm not even entirely sure how that's possible. It doesn't have any real games on it. Those 64 games are like 60 and 80 megs. And it's an 8 gig hard drive. I don't know how it's full. But yeah, I've never had to deal with the mess of like having to like install Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which I imagine probably was also too big for the hard drive because it's a giant ass JRPG. So that's how I made it this late into the life cycle, where we're already like a few years into the Switch and I'm just now dealing with stupid Wii U problems. That's why this happened. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this stupid rant podcast thing. Hope it makes up for some of the lack of videos this week, which might extend for a couple more days because I am just kind of behind schedule. And I hope you guys enjoyed Metroid Prime, which will continue uninterrupted from day to day, where other videos might not. But it'll all get back to normal by midweek or something. It's just been a big mess. And hope you guys enjoyed this stupid journey where I made mistakes, but also Nintendo made mistakes. And I will stand by that. I think it's completely reasonable to criticize them for this mess at this point. But thanks for watching like always, guys. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon, where I can waste your money with these kinds of mistakes slash rapidly purchase solutions to my problems so that the channel can keep running, slash also eat and pay my bills and all that. Yeah. No Patreon Q&A this week because I don't have time because I'm going to be gone this weekend. But I did do a 2-hour review of Parasite a couple days ago with Bird and Stephanie and Lady Bird. And then there's this impromptu podcast that I thought was going to be 20 minutes long, but it's been like an hour long. So hopefully that makes up for it or something. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching like always and all that. Patreon.com/SebastianSB if you want to, as a link in the description, if you want to vote for, be in the process of voting for the next game once Metroid Prime is done, which probably will take like a month or something. I don't know, how long to beat says it's like 15 hours long, which probably means it's, for me, it'll probably be 20 hours long, which probably makes it 40 episodes. That'd be my vague, really shitty math guess. So it might take about a month for me to finish Metroid Prime, at which point we'll select the next game. $15 tier is who gets to nominate the games, and $1 and up tier gets to vote on the games. And if you like this long, weird rant thing, they're usually less emotional than this. They usually just me kind of passively answering a question, as opposed to like being like a little incensed and frustrated. But I do video content similar to this every week on Patreon, in the Questions from Patreon series, which you also get access to for any price. And so yeah, see you guys next time. Oh, wait. I forgot. There was still one more step to the whole process at the end. There was one more complication. Yeah, the Wii disc arrived. and I popped it in, and it didn't just work, because it takes you to the Wii dashboard within the Wii U, which I've never been to before, because I've never tried to run a Wii game on the Wii U before. And it says, in order to access the Wii menu, you have to point the Wiimote at the screen and use it. And this is kind of my fault, but also I honestly kind of thought you'd be able to play Metroid Prime with a controller, but I guess not. But also, even if you could play Metroid Prime with a controller, you can't play any Wii game on the Wii U without using a Wiimote to use the Wii dashboard. So it launches the Wii dashboard and requires a Wiimote. I'm like, okay, I can do this, I can do this. I've got a bunch of unpacked boxes. I mean, I got a bunch of packed boxes from when I moved still. So it's like, somewhere in there is my Xbox 360, my Xbox One, and my Xbox One. My Nintendo 64 and my PlayStation 2, which is now packed back in a box again after Silent Hill, because it's just not used that often. But like, I have all those consoles lying around, so I had to check all those. Okay, no Wiimotes in there. I swear I have Wiimotes somewhere. And I find my old Xbox 360 carrying case. I used to carry around my 360 with whenever I needed to travel with it, which was frequent enough back then. And it's now full of controllers, just miscellaneous controllers. It's just kind of a soft-ish package where I can put a bunch of controllers. So it's got like my and I'm a score. Okay, there's my Wii U Pro controllers, and there's my Wiimotes. Awesome. I got Wiimotes. We're set. No complications at this step. Thank God. All right, crisis averted. Then I keep looking, and I'm like, where's the sensor bar? Where's the sensor bar? And this is where we realize, like, oh, because I never had a Wii. My mom had a Wii. And so when she got rid of her Wii, I just kind of inherited her Wii controllers for some reason, but she sold the Wii itself. So I don't have a Wii sensor bar, but I do have Wii controllers. And so I did have to go to GameStop this time, not Best Buy. I guess I could have gone to Best Buy too, probably, but GameStop was technically closer, or I don't know. I just defaulted to GameStop because it seemed like the place where they'd have it. I bought a wireless Wii sensor bar for the Wii U, and so this was yet another trip to a store. This was the day the disc arrived. I had one more step. I did have one more trip I had to go on, but I was at this point, I'm ready to get screwed over. I'm ready for all the complications. So I open up the fucking sensor bar, and I'm like, this is going to require batteries. And I look at it, and I tried to look at the outside, but it didn't say anything. So I opened the package in my car, because I'm like, I'm going to find out what batteries this takes. I'm going to get those batteries on the way home at a Walgreens or whatever. We're getting the batteries. I'm not going to do another trip. And I was like, haha, this thing takes AAA batteries. Because I was like, I have a big old thing I have a bunch of batteries at home, but they're definitely AA's. Because that's the thing you actually use for stuff. And so I go pick up AAA's on the way home, and then I come home, and I put them in the sensor bar and so on. And I look at my stash of batteries. They're all AAA's. What? I have no idea why I have a bunch of AAA batteries. I just got them a few months ago, I remember, but I don't remember what they were for. So my trip for AAA batteries was pointless. I tried to be proactive and save myself a trip, and it was completely pointless because I already had AAA batteries. And I don't know what I bought them for. Something must have required AAA batteries recently. I have no idea what it was. And that means I didn't have AA batteries. And I opened up the fucking Wiimotes, and they're empty, and they require AA batteries. I'm like, motherfucker.